All right, I'm officially higher ranked with Zerg now than I am with Terran, but we're not going to talk about that today. Today's going to be a much less serious StarCraft video. Not that the others are very serious, but they've been like drills. This one I'm just going to show like random builds I've tried and ones that. So the AI is very bad at dealing with a few things. One, early rushes tend to kill it. Two, kind of can't deal with flying stuff. So if you want to practice flying stuff, the AI is really bad for it. And if you want to practice early rushes, the AI will convince you it's a lot more effective than it is. So the first one I'm going to do is a build where we try to get up 6 barracks as quickly as possible on one base. One base can support 6 barracks, and just make as many Marines as we can and flood them. I think the best part of this is we can practice stutter stepping, which I do not think I've talked about yet in a video, so we're going to talk about that. I haven't checked what the build was for like a month, so I might get the order wrong. I haven't played it in forever, but this is a build you can do without too much thought. Um, so we're gonna start normally. We're gonna click our thing. It's running a little slow. We're gonna make a worker. We're gonna hotkey our building. I'm not gonna bother to wall off because this build is silly. So we're just gonna queue up our second worker. We're gonna be at 14 supply. It should be able to get up to 100 without us slowing down. We'll grab a guy, and we'll put down a supply depot and then send him back. Now at around 16, we should be able to fit in a barracks. We're going to try to fit in 3 barracks before we get orbital command. So I'm going to queue up my 16th SCV. We don't have to do much. And I'm going to wait to get closest to 150. I'm going to grab this guy, pull him here. And as soon as the supply depot finishes, we've made our first barracks. I'm going to make sure we're making another guy. And now I think we should be able to squeeze in another barracks. I'm going to grab another one and get down our second barracks. I'm going to put both of them on a hotkey. I'm going to make sure we're producing an 18th and a 19th. But we should be able to start our third barracks before we get orbital command. So let's grab another guy. It seems like we'll be at 150 very soon. Here's our third barracks. We have 3 barracks. We'll send anything produced there. Now this will finish around the same time as our first barracks, or SCV. So when that finishes, we'll get orbital command. And then we're just going to start pumping out units. So orbital command, I'm going to send out my first guy. We're going to make another supply depot so we don't get capped. And then we're just going to make sure we're producing Marines. We're going to try to get down 3 more barracks. I forget the time I'm supposed to push out with this build. But whenever we can squeeze in 3 more barracks, we don't have to make workers anymore because we are maxed out. So we have 150 minerals. Add a 4th barracks. Make sure we're producing. Get our 4th barracks going. We'll probably need a new supply depot soon. So let's get another one going. Make sure we're producing, just pressing the 2 key. We don't need to make regular workers, but we do want to call down mules if available. And I think we'll be at 150 shortly. So let's get down 1 more. That's our 5th. We're only going to need 1 more. And I think we're trying to get as many as we can by around 3.5-minute mark, as many units. So I think we should be able to fit in 1 more of these. And I'm also going to drop 1 more supply depot. Now, I think actually I had figured out with this build that we could get slightly more. Yeah, so we're going to push right at 3 minutes. With all our Marines, we're going to push at 3 minutes, and we're going to reinforce, make sure our other Marines are queued to follow, make sure our last barracks is hotkeyed, they're all sending in, and we're going to pump out. So I actually forgot one touch I had done on this build, which actually if you don't Yule but you supply drop, you can get out 1 extra Marine by the 3-minute mark, and you can get up to 13 Marines. I only had 12. So that was a little bad on my part. This build could be done better. And we are going to be coming into their base. And we're going to make sure we have lots of things. And now we're going to hopefully engage these troops. All right, they're coming for us. Maybe we'll base trade. All right, let's go in. Um, and what we're going to do, all right, we're clearly going to base trade, is we're going to stutter step, which is like we move and then we press H quickly. And that can let us move towards or away from enemy units. So in general, we want to move towards units that have melee, or sorry, towards units that have range, and away from other units. So I'm going to keep our other units here because it did look like they were attacking us. And let's pull the other units into this attack. Oh, they cleared out our forces. All right, we need to reinforce them. Oh, geez. They actually defended really well. So we got to push in. Hey, we're going to lose here. I didn't know this build could lose. All right. Today we're gonna just play kind of fun builds, like builds that I've tried out and I don't think are that good, but I had fun trying out, and you might enjoy trying. This one is a rush, which means it usually beats the AI. They don't respond well to very early attacks, and the idea is on one base we can get up 6 barracks, and from that we can pump out Marines, and we can send 13 Marines across the map if I do this right at the 3-minute mark, and hopefully those can win. And we're going to use this as stutter step practice if you want to try this out. So per usual, we're going to start by making an SCV. We're going to hotkey our barracks, and we're just going to be sitting on one base for this build. We're going to just make as much production as we can off one base and try to win with it. So when our 14th is started, we should get to 100. I'm not going to bother with walling off, which I think I did in the previous thing, because we're going to be making a lot of troops and we're just going to try to win with those troops. So we're going to queue up our 16th SCV, and now we're going to wait for the supply to finish or be close to finishing, and then we're going to pull someone and they're going to go make our barracks. So I'm going to grab this guy, put him over here, and when this finishes, we drop a barracks, and we can hotkey that up, make sure we're making our 17th SCV. We should be able to squeeze in another barracks while that 17th is being made. Yeah, let's pull a guy over, make a nice little row of barracks, make sure he goes back when he's done, and now we can queue up to 19. And I should be able to get 3 barracks in before we've started orbital command. So we're going to try to fit 1 more in here, and then we're going to get 3 more barracks up after to reinforce our attack with. So we add it to the hotkey, that's very important. And now when our first barracks finishes, we don't want to queue up anymore because we want to get orbital command. We're actually not going to drop mules with this build. We're going to be making supply, we're going to be doing supply drops. And as soon as the barrack finishes, we start producing. And yeah, we want to make sure we're producing out of our barracks. I'm going to make 1 more supply here. And we're going to make sure we're producing out of both barracks. And as soon as this finishes, we're going to press the X button rather than the E button. We don't need to make more workers, but we do want to use its ability to double our supply depots so we don't have to spend time making more. And we have enough money for a 4th barrack, so we're going to make that. We're going to make sure we're producing. And 4 barracks production. By dropping the supply depot, we keep more mining time. Now, if I hadn't queued up so much, we might have been able to fit our 5th barracks already, but we'll be able to make a 5th here, not making this nearly as pretty now, and make sure we're queuing up Marines, and we're waiting for the 3-minute mark. When our orbital command gets to 50 energy, we can drop another supply depot. Make sure everything is queuing, and let's make 1 more barracks. This is a 6 barracks build, because we want to be reinforcing. We'll only really have 3 barracks making troops, or 4 barracks making troops by the time we send out, because we are about to send out our attack. But we will be reinforcing with more. So we've hit 3 minutes. We have 12 Marines. You can get 13 if you do this right. We're going to double up our supply. We're going to queue to the enemy base. We're going to make sure all our units are going here. And we're going to make sure we're making more units because that's all that matters. We can drop another supply depot just to make sure we don't get capped. But we are pumping Marines. I have a barracks I never added to the hotkey. Just in time. And now we want a stutter step, which is if we press, man, they crushed this attack. Jesus. All right, let's pull back. Reinforces what we've got. The attack has completely failed. If they build much military, they should be able to hold it because they do have defender's advantage. And this is what has happened in a lot of my games online with this build, is if they hold the initial attack, it's very hard to recover. But let's... Oh man, the Elite AI played good here. I got crushed. Alright, today we're going to do fun builds. This build often beats the Elite AI, but not always, and it does worse against humans. So I don't think it's a good build, but we're just going to try to make as many Marines as we can by the 3-minute mark. We're going to be on one base, and we're going to build 6 barracks. And we're just going to pump out Marines. We're going to build 3 barracks before we get orbital command. This video is just going to be I cannot speak. Be me messing around with various builds that haven't worked out for me. None of this is advice. Do not try this at home. It is not all that good. But I enjoy this build. It's pretty simple to execute. We're not going to bother walling off or anything fancy here. At 14, we'll get enough minerals that we can make our first supply depot. Remember to queue back so the worker doesn't sit there. And we'll queue up our 15th and 16th SCB. And then we'll start trying to squeeze in barracks. I'll probably make a row of them over here. And we're just going to try to pump out as many Marines as we can and kill them at the 3-minute mark. This usually, but not always, beats the Elite AI. If they're Terran, they have a better chance to hold. But if they are not, this can be a fairly powerful attack. So we look like we're closing in on 150. So we're going to try to squeeze in barracks whenever we can. That's our second one. And we're going to queue up to our 19th SCV. And we should be able to squeeze in 1 more barracks before we get orbital command. With orbital command, I'm actually going to use supply drop just so we don't lose time, because time is really important for a rush like this. So a move that is long-term bad, like supply drop, can be good for us here because it means we don't have to lose any time like building more supply depots or anything like that. At this point, we won't build any more SCVs. We can start producing Marines. And we're going to need to get another supply depot soon or we're going to get blocked. So let's get our second one down. We can double up one of them when orbital command finishes. But for now, we'll have to build this one more. We'll make sure we're producing. We don't have to produce any more out of our command center, but we will press X to drop orbital commands, and we are looking for times to squeeze in more barracks. So now we can get our 4th up, and we can be producing. And as soon as this gets 50 energy, we'll use it to call down supply on the other one. And we shouldn't need to build any more than that. So I'm going to start our 5th barracks. Now that and make sure to add it to the hotkey. Now that we don't have to make SCVs, it's easier to find time, but we do want to check if our command center is 50 energy. And I think we can fit in a 6th barracks, and that is it for us. Now we are just making Marines. Start putting them on a hotkey whenever we can. When we get 50 energy, we will make sure to drop another supply drop, but we don't have to spend more time. We don't have to slow down here to, let's drop it, to do anything. Oh, 3 minutes hit. Oops, I was supposed to push out there. Now, if I'd done this perfectly, where are we sending our troops? We'll send them here to the natural. And let's queue up everything else to follow and make sure our other troops are following. And yeah, we will have to build one more supply depot, I guess, because we can no longer double the ones we've got. So let's make sure that's building. And now we can pump Marines behind out of 6 barracks, which is basically the most we can support. Um, and hopefully they took their natural. If they did, they're very likely dead. Especially if they don't attack us. So we can start killing workers, yeah. If they took their base, they're screwed because it means they won't have enough military. So one thing I'm going to do is practice stutter stepping, which is I press move to a right click, and then I press H. And doing that, I can move away or towards enemies, and then pressing H halts them and starts them shooting. And this is just a good thing to practice. In general, if we are facing melee enemies, we want to stutter step away from them so there's more time before they reach us, like here. We could move away from those guys. If they are ranged, we generally want to stutter step towards them. And let's make sure we have everyone coming up. And we'll put them near their workers. And got to make sure we're still producing. I forgot to continue producing because I was distracted by stutter stepping. And so now we kind of overproduced. We can drop another supply so to stop us being capped. And indeed we won. So is this build good? Well, if they expand, they often won't have enough military to hold. If they do an early expand, it hits pretty hard and pretty early. However, if they notice we're on one base, they might decide they need to be more defensive if they scouted us, and that could be a problem. And for my, at the level of rating I've been playing at, I have not done well with this build online, playing against other humans. But it does do pretty good against the elite AI. There are games you lose. Sometimes they do go military, but like in general, unless the AI is Terran and goes military early, it's going to beat the elite AI, which feels good. It's fun to be able to do something kind of straightforward that just wins. But there's many ways to cheese the elite AI. I like this because I think it's good Marine practice trying to manage controlling your Marines. If you see Zerglings, we should stutter step away. If you see things like roaches or just other Marines, we should stutter step towards. Why do we do that? Well, if someone's running at you with a knife and you are trying to shoot at them, you will get more shots the longer it takes to reach you. So you want to be backpedaling, because it takes longer for them to reach you. However, most units outrange Marines if they have range. So we want, and what will happen is if your front row of 4 Marines can hit the enemy, they will stop and start shooting, and the Marines behind them then have to take a while to move around them. But if we stutter step, we can move all our Marines sort of forward and get them all into range such that they can be hitting. And because we're moving while shooting, if they're trying to kite, like take shots and retreat, it will make it easier for us to keep up with them and keep getting shots on them. So stutter stepping is an important part of Marine control, and because this build is entirely Marines, it can be fun practice for that. Okay, we're going to try another build. This one's probably not going to go so well. I don't really remember how this one works, but this is the first proxy build I tried. And what we're going to do is at the very start, we're going to grab 2 SCVs and send them out to build barracks near the enemy's base. Now, this one doesn't work as well against the elite AI because the elite AI weirdly has incredibly good individual worker unit control. Like sometimes it just lets you kill them all, but sometimes it does some incredible dodging. And against the specific unit we're going to use here, the Reaper, it does pretty incredible dodging. So we're going to start by grabbing 2 guys, one more, and we're going to send them across the map. And then we're going to start making 2 Marines, just 2 SCVs, just 2. And once we've made 2, we will also drop a supply depot. And then when we get to 75 minerals, we're going to take our gas. We need gas because Reapers are a gas-intensive unit. And that's basically all we're going to do. Now these 2 guys are going to run across to someplace they hopefully don't look early. This is their natural, this is their main base. So we're just going to come here, and we're going to build a barracks here where they hopefully won't look, and where a Reaper can actually hop right up into their base. and we're going to hotkey this. And as soon as we have 150 more minerals, we don't really have to look at our base anymore. We're not doing anything with it. We are going to make another SC2, another barracks. Okay, we do have to look at our base once to make sure we populate our gas. We will need enough gas. Okay, now we have 2 barracks, and what's going to happen is when this guy's done, he's going to create a 3rd barracks, and that's going to be basically it. This is triple proxy, proxy meaning not built in your base, but built somewhere else on the map, Reaper. And when these are done, we're just going to put out Reapers. And Reapers can go over hills, essentially. They can go up in ways other units cannot. And this means it's going to be kind of fun to attack with them. And this is going to be a build where we just focus on managing the attack. Now, a Reaper takes a while to build, you'll notice, which is part of the reason we're doing it right there. Now this guy's kind of done. He doesn't really have much to do. He could go back. He can go home. We're going to make sure we're producing another Reaper when possible. And in fact, okay, they found us. That's a bummer. But we're gonna just try to get in, and we can throw grenades with the D button, and we can run away from things and take shots when we can. And we now have another guy. Also, Reapers heal. So we're going to make sure we're still producing. We're going to make sure our other Reapers in our control group. Hopefully we get away here. My control's not great, and the AI is surprisingly good here. But did I lose a guy? No. Make sure we're still making Reapers. Drop our weird grenades that make people pop up all goofy. We should be able to take this guy out now. And now we have 2 more. Now we should have mass. Like, it should be pretty hard for them to take us. We can kill things, and we can drop these little goofy grenades. And make sure we're making more Reapers. Throw a couple grenades at that. Make sure we're killing their workers. We have another one ready. Get rid of this. We've got another one. Let's try to take this out quick. Make sure we're still producing. And go after their workers again. Now we should be able to kill them very quickly because we have such big numbers. And if we can take out their production, they're dead. So the games I have won with this, you just like get in their base and run around, and it feels like there's nothing they can do. And you just kill their stuff. Alright, so we've cleared out all their workers here. So we're going to check if they have other workers, because if we kill all their workers, they can't do anything. And when you can, throw the grenades. It's on cooldown. It comes up pretty quick. Make sure you don't hit yourself on the grenades. And the game's over. It would have been better if I'd built more supply depots, but we have killed all their workers. And that's basically the idea. This is clearly a huge pain to play against. I have basically lost every time I have come against something like this, because Reapers are very annoying. But you'll notice, I'm stuck on 23. I never found time to build more supply depots. We could have dropped back out. If we had been outnumbered, we would have dropped back out, waited for larger numbers of Reapers, then come back in and tried to push again, because we can approach multiple ways. We could come at their natural, the normal way, but we can also jump up into the main like this, and if they have a point defended, we just switch to attacking another point. But it's hard to do this. You'll notice my APM is higher than usual because, like, you're doing a lot of clicking. It's hard to do this and do any economic management, but also we're putting no effort into our economy. We never made more SCVs. Probably could have found a time when I was saying make more Reapers because our limiting factor was gas. We had some minerals. We probably could have made some more of our other units, but like, yeah. This is another funny little build. Again, I haven't had much success with this. I think there's one more build I want to try to show, but I have to look at the build order because I don't remember how it works. Um, you know what? I don't think I do a good job of this right now. So these were just two builds I messed around with. I tried. I think they're kind of fun to do when you practice specific skills. The first one, you just get a really tight 3.5 minutes. Can you get 12 Marines out? If you do it perfect, you can get 13. I did not do it perfect, but can you get 12 Marines out by 3 minutes? If you can, that's pretty good, and it means you really executed those 3 minutes well. And if you can control those Marines better than I do, you might do better with it than I do. And then the other one is, can you have fun running around with Reapers and picking off workers? Um, One useful thing with that build, I was using it specifically in TBT, meaning against opposing Terrans, is if you see a worker building a factory, kill that worker. We don't want their factory to get up because we don't want them to have units that significantly outrange the Reapers and can pick them off while the Reapers have trouble fighting them, which means we don't want them to get tanks and we don't want them to get Widow Mines. I think those are both good defenses against Reapers. So specifically, the factory makes a bunch of units that are good against Reapers, and we do not want it to get built. Luckily, our attack comes pretty early, so it's probably before they have those built. Anyway, these were two kind of silly Terran builds I was messing around with. Um, I don't recommend them, and I don't think they're as good practice as the stuff we've done before, but I wanted to make a video of some builds I tried. And yeah, I think I'm going to be going back and forth between stuff I recommend and drills I think are useful, and stuff that, like, I tried out and I had fun trying it, and you might too, and I didn't do very well with it. That might mean you do better. It also might mean it might be like, okay, anyone who's good at this game is better than me. But anyone who's just starting out at this game, I'm much better than. I think that's fair to say. And so if you're starting out, these might be nice builds where you're able to beat harder AIs than you otherwise could, for instance, and that can feel really nice and encouraging. And I certainly feel encouraged by that. So I think there's some use to them, and they're fun to mess around with. And I like thinking about different things that are possible. Like, if I build my production buildings in their base, they are much more vulnerable, but also I get my units there way quicker. Huh, maybe that's an interesting way to attack early. And having ideas like that in your head, I think, is useful. So it's nice to have kind of thought about different things. Another thing I think you can think about here is, how much production can you do off one base? I think it's basically 6 barracks. I think more than that, and you will just not have enough resources to pump stuff out. But 6 barracks, you can keep pumping stuff out. And so it's kind of a nice amount, and getting a feel for, because if you built one barracks for your base, yeah, that barracks could constantly make Marines, but you'd have so many minerals going to waste. You kind of want to figure out that point where you're able to spend what you're earning. And that first build is very much a build of, oh, I got up to 150 minerals. I'm going to drop another barracks. I'm going to keep producing Marines. You know, it's not very long. It's not as long a test as our Marine max out test, but it's kind of a, can you keep up production and see, here's what I have to build when for 3.5 minutes. A nice, quick practice.